The rain fell steadily over the small college town in Texas, soaking the cracked sidewalks and painting the streets in shades of gray. Daniel Hayes trudged along, his shoulders hunched beneath a worn jacket that did little to shield him from the cold. At 24, Daniel's life was a fragile balancing act. His final year of law school demanded every ounce of his focus. His part-time job barely paid for groceries, and the mountain of debts left by his late father loomed over him like a shadow. Each day felt heavier than the last, as if the world conspired to push him further under. His phone buzzed, breaking his train of thought. Fishing it out of his pocket, he answered. Daniel Hayes speaking. A woman's voice, smooth and authoritative, came through the line. Mr. Hayes, this is Victoria Langston. I need to speak with you regarding your financial situation. Daniel frowned, his steps slowing. I'm sorry, who are you? How do you? I know more than enough, she interrupted, her tone unwavering. Meet me at Langston's Cafe tonight at 7 o'clock. Don't be late. Before Daniel could respond, the line went dead. He stared at the phone, confusion and unease gnawing at him. That evening, Daniel found himself standing outside Langston's Cafe, its warm glow spilling onto the rain-slicked sidewalk. Pushing the door open, he was met with the inviting scent of freshly brewed coffee and soft lighting that contrasted sharply with the storm outside. At a table near the corner sat a woman, her silver hair perfectly styled, her tailored suit exuding wealth and precision. You must be Daniel, she said, gesturing for him to sit. Her voice was calm, commanding. Ms. Langston, right? He asked, his voice cautious as he slid into the chair opposite her. What's this about? I appreciate your directness, she said, a faint smile playing at her lips. Daniel, I know about your debts. I know how hard you're struggling, how the weight of your father's mistakes is crushing you. I'm here to offer you a solution. Daniel blinked, his confusion deepening. A solution? Victoria leaned back, her piercing gray eyes locked on his. Marry me. The words were so unexpected that Daniel laughed nervously, certain he'd misheard. What? That's ridiculous. It's not as absurd as you think, she said, her tone unwavering. This isn't about romance. It's a business arrangement. I'll pay off all your debts, ensure your financial security, and in return, you'll be my husband. He stared at her, searching her face for a hint of humor. There was none. You're serious? Why me? We don't even know each other. Exactly, she said, leaning forward slightly. You're young, unattached, and desperate enough to consider this. I don't need love, Daniel. I need a companion, someone to stand by my side, to share my name, and to ensure the stability of my estate. Think of it as a contract. Daniel shook his head, disbelief etched on his face. This is insane. What's in it for you? For the first time, her composure softened, and a flicker of vulnerability crossed her face. I've spent my life alone. No children, no family left. I want companionship, even if it's just for appearances. And I want control of my legacy. A husband solidifies that. He pushed his chair back abruptly, the legs scraping against the floor. I need time to think. Of course, she replied coolly. But don't take too long. The offer doesn't stand forever. That night, Daniel sat at his kitchen table, his mother across from him. Her frail hands trembled as she sipped her tea, her once bright eyes clouded with worry. Medical bills for her treatments had drained their savings, and the prospect of his younger sister's tuition loomed heavily over them. When Daniel explained Victoria's proposal, his mother's reaction was measured but somber. I know it sounds unthinkable, but maybe it's worth considering. You want me to marry a stranger? He asked, his voice rising with frustration. To fix all of this? I want you to save yourself, she said softly. And if you can, save us. The following week, Daniel stood in a small courthouse, wearing a suit Victoria had provided. The ceremony was brief, witnessed only by her lawyer and a notary. As they exchanged vows, unease twisted in his stomach. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Victoria turned to him with a smile that seemed more calculated than joyful. Welcome to your new life, Mr. Hayes, she said, her tone laced with something he couldn't place. The rain was a steady drizzle as they left the courthouse, the gray skies matching Daniel's mood. He glanced at his reflection in a puddle and wondered if he'd just saved his family, or made the biggest mistake of his life. Victoria's estate was a sprawling mansion, its towering columns. As Daniel stepped out of the car, his suitcase in hand, the estate's vastness made him feel small and out of place. The windows of the house were dark, the interior shrouded in shadows that seemed to reach out to him. Victoria greeted him at the door, her demeanor polished and detached. Welcome, Mr. Hayes. Dinner is at 7 o'clock. Don't be late. Daniel nodded stiffly, following a housekeeper to his assigned room. It was opulent, with antique furnishings and a massive bed, but the air was cold, the space devoid of warmth or personality. It felt more like a museum than a home. At dinner, the long dining table emphasized the distance between them, both physically and emotionally. Victoria, seated at the head, cut into her food with surgical precision. "You'll adjust," she said without looking at him. "Or you won't. Either way, this is your life now." As the days passed, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The staff moved silently, their eyes avoiding his. Whispers filled the air when they thought he wasn't listening. "Why him?" one voice murmured. "She always has her reasons," another replied. Daniel's curiosity deepened when he noticed a locked door in one of the estate's many hallways. On Victoria's desk, he found a small, ornate key. Driven by a need for answers, he slipped the key into his pocket and waited until nightfall to investigate. What he found behind the door left him shaken. A room filled with old photographs, legal documents, and a diary that revealed more about Victoria's intentions than he ever wanted to know. "You've been busy," Victoria's voice cut through the stillness, her silhouette framed in the doorway. Daniel spun around, guilt and fear evident on his face. "I had to know," he stammered. "Why did you really marry me? What is this all about?" Her eyes narrowed, the warmth from their initial meeting gone. "You're in over your head, Daniel. Do what you're told, and you might just survive this. Thanks for watching. Subscribe Beyond the Surface.